Our next speaker, I have the pleasure of inviting to the stage, and I am the first to call him that, His Excellency. He just got awarded, so I'm proud to be the first to refer to him as that, Dr. Saf Buxy. He's a psychotherapist, a human activist, and he's the director of Stop Human Trafficking UK. He is also a UPF ambassador, a TEDx speaker, and author. And I'm also proud to say he's one of our male allies that supports women. Welcome, Dr. Saf.
Hello, good afternoon. Since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from a woman, I wonder why we take from women, why we rape our women. Do we hate our women? I think it's time we killed for our women, be real to our women and try to heal our women. Because if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies who make the babies. That's a quote from Tupac Shakur, the late Tupac Shakur. I tend to start with that quote when I get invited to an event like this. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and advocates for justice, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to address such a critical, heart-wrenching issue. I'm a volunteer director of Stop Trafficking Worldwide, CIC. There's two other founders as well who are not here today. But this issue that I'm going to talk about is the violence against women who have been abducted and trafficked. This topic is not just about numbers or statistics, but real human lives. Women and girls who have been stripped of their freedom, their dignity, and their safety. As we stand here today, the question is, how close are we to ending this violence? Not close at all. Not close at all. To begin, let's acknowledge the scope of the problem, and it's a massive problem. Human trafficking is one of the fastest growing criminal enterprises in the world, generating billions of dollars each year. And according to the United Nations, which I am a proud member of as of last week, over 70% of trafficking victims worldwide are women and girls, many of whom have been forced into sexual slavery, labor exploitation, and domestic servitude. These women endure unimaginable violence, physical, emotional, and psychological, and the ripple effects of this trauma extend far beyond the individual victims. It fractures families, communities, and societies. Now, in answering this question of how close we are to ending this violence, I'm going to focus on three key areas here tonight. Legal frameworks and law enforcement, support for survivors, and societal attitudes. We've had some great speakers already, and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. I also worked at South London and Maudsley, and it's a wonderful organisation. Legal framework and enforcement. Let's start with that. In the last 2 decades, there has been significant progress on the legal front. Many countries have implemented stricter laws against human trafficking and the violence against women. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act in the United States, the Palermo Protocol by the United Nations, and the Council of Europe Convention on Action Against Trafficking of Human Beings are just a few examples of international agreements that aim to combat this crime and protect survivors. Additionally, increasingly, working together to track down traffickers who operate across borders. That is one of the main reasons why we decided to open up an organisation, Stop Trafficking Worldwide, 2 years ago. This is our second year, And we're a relatively new organisation, and we have an event on the 28th of August. Please check our website. It's in Blackfriars, and we'd love you all to attend. You're all invited, of course. However, while these legal frameworks exist, enforcement remains a challenge, major challenge. In many countries, traffickers are still able to operate with relative impunity due to corruption, lack of resources, or inadequate training, and inadequate training of law enforcement personnel. Victims too often face obstacles when seeking justice. In some places, trafficked women are seen as criminals rather than victims, leading to their further marginalisation. So how close are we? We've laid the groundwork, but without stronger and more consistent enforcement, we're still a long way away. Long way. Support for survivors, and we've spoken, we've had a few speakers who've been talking about the support that they provide. Beyond legal measures, ending violence against trafficked women means ensuring that survivors receive comprehensive support. Trafficking inflicts deep scars, and many women who escape their traffickers face years of recovery. I work as a psychotherapist, and I work with people who've experienced different types of trauma and different types of abuse. And I also work with women who've experienced domestic violence, and which is quite rare for them to have a male support, but sometimes it works. And of course, I give them the opportunity to go to all my female colleagues. But sometimes it works because there are good men out there. And it's lovely to see a few men here today, and it's really great, but we need more men to speak up. Yeah. We need more men to speak up, and this all starts with education. Thank you. Because usually, and not comprehensively, usually domestic violence and violence against women is committed by men. So if more men came up here and stood up and spoke up against these crimes, the more chance we've got to move forward. It starts with education, it starts with our children, and it should be introduced in the curricula for schools. More NGOs, shelters, social services, offering medical and psychological support and legal assistance to survivors is crucial. Programs that help women reintegrate into society, access education, and find employment is also expanding. And that's great. And the UPF, Universal Peace Federation, that I'm proud to be a peace ambassador of, does a lot of work. It does a lot of work with empowering women. And Lorna and Sima, the work they do as well on a regular basis is just phenomenal. I want to go into societal attitudes very quickly. And one of the most profound barriers to ending violence against trafficked women is the persistence of harmful societal attitudes. Misogyny, gender inequality, and the normalization of violence against women remain widespread in many parts of the world. Trafficking thrives in environments where women are devalued, where poverty and lack of education limit their options, and where unfortunately their voices are silenced. Changing these deeply ingrained attitudes, it takes time, but there is a reason. There's a reason for hope, ladies and gentlemen. The global women's movement, spurred by campaigns like Me Too and Time's Up, and what the Universal Peace Federation do here, has brought unprecedented attention of issues of gender-based violence and exploitation. Young people in particular are demanding a world where women are safe, where women are respected, and where women are free. Education campaigners are working a shift to shift cultural narratives, to raise awareness about the dangers of trafficking and promoting gender equality. So, however, are we close to societal shift? It's happening, but it's very slow. In too many places, cultural norms continue to excuse or ignore violence against women. And for lasting change, we need sustained efforts to challenge these norms, not only through policy, but in everyday interactions, education, and media. So what's next? What can we do? So how close are we? How close are we to ending violence against trafficked women? Yeah, look, I understand significant progress has been made, but we're not close enough. Not at all. The fight is far from over. But we are certainly not where we began. And events like this and awareness and education like this is vital. Ending this violence requires a multifaceted approach. Stronger enforcement of anti-trafficking laws, ensuring traffickers face real consequences for their crime, comprehensive support for survivors, which is quite a few people who do that here today, providing them with the tools to heal and to rebuild their lives, a global shift in societal attitudes, promoting respect for women's rights and addressing the root causes of gender-based violence and inequality. Now, it's also a demand to international cooperation and community-level activism. No one organisation or government can do this alone. We need partnerships between nations, between public and private sectors, and between men and women working in unison to tackle this issue head-on. Each of us here today has a role to play. We can support organisations that are fighting trafficking. We can advocate for better laws. We can advocate for better policies. We can work to change the cultural narratives to allow violence against women to stop. Above all, we can ensure that survivors are heard, believed, and supported. In conclusion, while we are not yet that close, well, not as close as we would like to be, to ending violence against trafficked women, I believe we are all on the right path. We are seeing progress. We must remain vigilant, united, and committed to the cause. Only then can we envision a world where every woman is free, where every woman is free from threat of abduction, trafficking, and violence. Thank you very much for giving me the time to share.